Thank you very much for this very rare and very valued and very precious opportunity. I wish I was greeting Keshav today on his birthday as I did every year and not speaking of him in the past tense. But then there is such a thing called reality. Keshav was a very real person. He was himself, untypecast, unpredictable. A scholar, if there ever was one. Keshav confounded intellectuals, free thinkers, dissidents, activists, bohemians, by choosing a much traveled by road, the Indian Administrative Service. That particular conformism, being a Sarkari Babu, he wore like a badge of honor, specializing in the ins and outs of that road, which is often a highway, oftener a meandering lane, but always much traveled by. You cannot get more regular than by taking a shot at that public exam, which Keshav did. Keshav did not oblige non-conformism there. But individualists in the civil service, which is a euphemism for misfits, fancying themselves to have a life beyond Sarkari files, take voluntary retirement to become academics and columnists. But Keshav stayed the course doggedly. He knew he could read as much as he wanted to and also do his Sarkar work. Writing was different. Writing, yes, that he kept for after he had retired. For writing to him was not a breeze. It was something that carried responsibility, that carried accountability. Where so many of us thought he would, in high dudgeon, fling away his covenant with government after he was so rudely moved out of the Ministry of Health, he did nothing of the kind. He moved to the next job, consumer affairs, with a muffled grumble, but nothing more. So if Keshav disappointed radicals, he did not belong to the standard IAS type either. Kuch fark type ka aadmi hai. I can imagine a liveried peon outside his office say to another, सुना है ये किसी बड़े आदमी के पोते हैं, शायद कोई महाराजा टाइप के, कोई साउथ के. Radhakrishnan was never part of his name, but the ancestry hovered around his stature. The silver head of hair, his long bespectacled face, and an English that was a cut above the routine. He never flaunted his family's great name, but he never stood in the way of it being mentioned when it naturally had to be done. He let that part, that description of him as a grandson of Radhakrishnan, sit over him like a shawl, softly, almost incidentally, but very comfortably. No false modesty, no put on humble stuff. Keshav had the natural humility of the real aristocrat of the mind, the becoming modesty of a true patrician, the civility of the cultivated. Nothing of the arrogance, none of the stiffness, not a hint of the pride of the wannabe upper class that wears varnish over very flawed surfaces. Keshav was among friends a Horatio to several Hamlets who lack the prince's eloquent madnesses. This Horatio was wise, circumspect, soft-spoken, and in few words, inviting confidences, keeping confidences, but never playing a role that would have dramatic effects on the play. He was among peers a B.N. Rao to celebrity constitution makers, vastly more knowledgeable than members of the drafting committee, but choosing to stay out of the limelight. He was among books, not the famous David Copperfield or the moving Oliver Twist, but Dickens's less known but greater novel, Hard Times, satirizing society among friends with a mordant but unmalicious humor. He was among paintings, not Picasso's Guernica, not Oliver Twist, like Rembrandt's The Night Watch, He was Constable's great painting, The Cornfield, with a young shepherd boy drinking from a pool in the summer heat. In all that Keshav did, he sought quality, not brilliance, not eminence, not summits, not heights of dizziness or depths of gravity, just quality. He sought the truly such and such, the real, the that is it of things, be it just a tumbler of coffee or conversation or reflection or a Kanjivaram sari for a friend or for a friend's wife or a soft wool cardigan or be it music. Keshav was very fond of Radhakrishna. He was. There's no denying it. But he was no less fond of his uncle, Saripalli Gopal. And if his uncle was rather taken up with Nehru, Keshav was rather taken up by M.S. Subbulakshmi. He was to pour his heart, mind into his biography of that Wonder Woman. If he was jealous about protecting anything, it was his exclusive understanding of the music of Madurai's daughter. In that sanctum, no one else was allowed to enter. And it is just as well that it was so. He wrote in the next thing to secrecy, which was privacy. Like a pearl in its oyster clasp, that book grew to maturity. The picture on its cover, I told him, has a mischievous smile. MS reminds me in that picture of the phrase, Mukhete Tambulam. She seems to have just had and enjoyed a succulent pan. So she does, Keshav said. So she does. Keshav too had his private rasanubhavas. Keshav did. In work or at rest. The human brain fascinated him. The human heart fascinated him. His sisters he adored. His friends he cherished. The human mind held him in health and in difficulty, in creativity and in limbo. Charles Lamb, it is said, wrote his summaries of Shakespeare's grim plays. He left the happier plays to his sister Mary, who was of disturbed mind. Keshav has left happy memories for us. His grandfather Radhakrishnan once said from his high seat in the Rajya Sabha, there is a touch of dash, dash, dash in all of us. I will not say the word dash, dash, dash. All of us know what it is. Keshav knew that touch of dash, dash, dash in all he was friends with and all he was not friends with. And he had compassion for that touch. Keshav, it is miserable to be without you.